Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is November 6th, and right now we're looking at the infrared satellite imagery. Here's Alaska, BC, Washington, Oregon. Look at this cold air streaming off the coastline of Alaska and British Columbia, helping to steer this low pressure system down the coast of Vancouver Island towards Washington here. You can see the frontal system move through this morning, building up some pretty good mountain snows across the region, getting some reports of some higher elevation snows across the lowlands here as well, or rain mixed with snow anyway. Cumuliform clouds here, thunderstorm threat for the coastline here as it slides down the Oregon coast the next couple of days as well. So let's jump into things here. You can see that thunderstorm threat here on the SPC and for tomorrow along the Oregon coast as well. And we bring this colder air in here starting Monday especially. Look at this low teens. Watch out, farmers out there for BC, Washington, Eastern Oregon, Idaho, and Montana out there. As this colder air moves into the region here, you can see some snowfall all the way for Wilbur, Spokane, Coeur d'Alene, Sandpoint here. The higher terrain, of course, is going to do better, but if you're traveling eastbound on I-90, Highway 2, through Idaho, the passes, wherever, start to watch out for that snow accumulation coming up here. Be prepared for it. This is for the flash freeze potential here for portions of northeast Washington, the Idaho Panhandle, as that colder air moves into the region on Monday. So heads up. This is southwest Oregon. Look at this Siskiyou Summit traveling south on I-5. Watch out for that potential snowfall accumulation there. Klamath Falls getting 1 to 2 inches as well. Higher terrain across southwest Oregon, picking up some nice snowfalls as well. High surf advisory. This could really be extended all the way up to Vancouver Island, Washington, Oregon coastline. 20 to 26 foot waves are expected. Watch out for the sneaker waves that go well up beyond the normal wave line. And they have rocks, logs, all kinds of stuff in them. So it seems like somebody gets caught in that every year. So heads up for that. Now this is looking at the 4-kilometer snowfall accumulation here. You can see it's showing some of that mixed rain and snow that accumulated, and some accumulations on the higher hills, I should say, north of Seattle. As we go on in through tonight and to Monday morning, you'll see some of this snow accumulate up through the northwest interior, along the slopes of the North Olympic Mountains there, east Vancouver Island as well, some of that upslope flow coming there. But you see most of the Seattle Metro are not going to see accumulation out of this. Best chance is definitely going to be probably north of the San Juan's interior and the farther you get away from water also, as we bring that cooler air down out of the interior of BC here. Now you can see it's piling up a little bit of snow there on the San Juans, but that's definitely going to be melting as it falls with that warm Puget Sound around there. Maybe some of the higher hilltops there across some of the islands would get a little bit of dusting of snow. Now taking a look here, this is 100-meter wind speed. This morning as the system moved down, some gusty winds moving across the area, relaxing today. We start to get this north-northwest flow. We could get a little bit of convergent zone activity out of that as it comes down tonight. Maybe a little bit of accumulation. Again, higher terrain would be favored. Monday morning, look at these winds coming out of the Fraser River Valley here by this point. And as we go on in through Monday night, you see the Okanagan River Valley, another cold air conduit from the interior BC, move into eastern Washington. There's a Purcell Trench out here that brings another cold air. It's another cold air conduit, brings some cool air down into eastern Washington, Idaho Panhandle as well. And as we go on in through Tuesday, you notice the northerly winds come all the way down the sound. The low pressure should be moving off the coastline here, and we're going to cut off the precip as we go into Tuesday and Tuesday night across much of the region here. Now, taking a look here, this is snow depth on the European. You can see the snowfall building up across the Cascades, Coastal Range, Rocky Mountains of BC, Idaho. But look at this. It's actually showing some pretty good accumulations up for Bellingham. The Vancouver metro area up there might be overdoing it a bit. Even Olympia showing some from the Kitsap Peninsula during the upslope flow. We're going to bring some east winds here, and it's going to bank up against the Olympic Mountains here. When it rises, cools, it might drop a little bit of measurable snowfall over there. We'll see how that goes. I think the European is probably overdoing it here, though. Now taking a look at the NAM frontal system moved through this morning. Nice snows coming. You can see the mixture of rain and snow through some of the higher elevations north of Seattle. Thunderstorm potential along the coast shown there. Now the best chance for snow is probably Monday morning up through the northwest interior. As you can see here, a lot of this is falling as snow on the NAM, and that's when the cooler air is going to be arriving here. Then some residual showers continue on in through Monday night. Looks like hitting the Olympic Mountains there, kind of keep moving northward. But you can see the low kind of retreating off the coastline here as we look to dry out as we go through Wednesday night. Still some snow falling for North California, maybe southwest Oregon as well for the higher terrain. Now, this is something I like to show here. This is simulated infrared satellite imagery here on the HRR 3-kilometer. You can see the cumuliform clouds moving on shore here as we go on in through Monday morning. That upper level low is continuing to spin showers and precipitation. Should build up a nice snowpack here for early November across the region. Now looking at lightning flash density here I'll just scroll through this. You can see the thunderstorm potential for that afternoon into tonight, into tomorrow. You can see upper level of spinning here as we go into Monday morning here. Wouldn't be surprised to hear of a water spout or maybe even a brief tornado across some of the coastal area of Oregon here, but needle in a haystack. Now, looking at here, this is dew point temperature. So you can see we're in the mid-30s across much of the western region here, even to the low 40s for the Willamette Valley here. So if you get down dry and you bring dry air into the region here, you can get evaporative cooling once you move precipitation in the area. And if we move into Monday, look at some of these down into the 20s and even teens to the Fraser River Gap here, eastern Washington. So when you bring precipitation in above that air, you can really cool down the column of atmosphere as you bring it down towards the surface, and you can get some cooling to bring the temperature closer to freezing, maybe bring some accumulation for the northwest interior. But you'll notice through the Puget Sound, Seattle Metro, it kind of stays in the mid-30s. Willamette Valley similar there too, so no measurable snowfall expected there. Now taking a look here, this is just kind of a visualization of 18,000 feet showing the very cold polar lobe that moving across our region here will finally kick out of here later this week. But just a nice visualization of what's going on. This is what spawned that upper level low here off our coastline here. It's bringing our nice mountain snows across the region. So taking a look here, northern hemispheres, Alaska, BC, Washington, Hawaiian Islands, Pacific Ocean. Here's Japan way over here. Here's Russia. Now you can see the lobe that dropped down on us. That's what bringing us all our weather. This previous one here was what brought the windstorm, now moving well off through the Dakotas. And that polar lobe moves through the area here, ridge builds in. We're going to get dry for a few days. We're going to calm down for a bit here, but then we're going to start to look at some model disagreement with some systems potentially moving in as we go through next weekend again. But this ridge is kind of persistent here over Alaska, almost like a Rex block going on here, but we're on the south side of it this time. So we'll see what happens there. We'll start to pay a little bit more attention to this as we get through our active weather that's coming up here through Monday morning with the potential snowfall across some of the lowlands. Now this is the GFS. Let's go ahead and play the GFS out here. You see our polar lobe kind of kick out of the region. Ridge trying to be persistent up there as well. But you can see we've got some potential for some systems rolling in, but this might actually favor California more than Washington here. So again, we're looking kind of far out here. Let's deal with what we're dealing with now, and then we'll kind of worry about this. But look at the GFS off into the future there. Nice ridge over us. That could be a fog maker there. Anyway, Seattle, Tacoma, you can see some overnight lows potentially below freezing. Not too bad, though. I mean, we're probably going to be mid-40s for the highs. Kind of chilly. Now, looking at Spokane, you can see maybe even a day or two at freezing here. As you can see, some of these overnight lows getting pretty darn chilly as we go through this mid and later on through this week here. So heads up for that. Boise, similar. Overnight lows below freezing, even down towards the teens at times. So you'll feel the chill in the air come down across much of the region here, especially Monday, Tuesday, and through midweek. Kamloops, interior BC, kind of showing that they're expecting looks like about a week here below freezing here, and then not getting much above freezing off through next weekend there. Portland International, maybe a day or two below freezing overnight lows here, and you can kind of see just some chilly daytime highs. This is Seattle, Tacoma. So this is what we're dealing with now precipitation-wise. And you see this kind of break shown in the ensemble runs, and then the potential for more active weather returning maybe through the later portion of November here. I wouldn't expect too long of a break. November is usually pretty rainy here. So odds are that we will start to get more systems around this time frame again. This is looking at Pacific North American oscillation generally moving into a positive period through mid-November here. So we're probably going to get a bit of a break relative to what we have been getting here the last week or two. Now, taking a look here, total precipitation, just kind of showing you guys the evolution of this as it moves down the coastline here. You can see moving all the way down through the Sierra Nevadas. And then you can see California, Northern California getting a good shot. Then you can see precipitation building up through Southern California as well there. But you can see we still have a ways to go here. We're still going to get some precipitation across the region here and some good mountain snows over the next few days across Pacific Northwest. But you can see as we're going out towards early and mid next week, we're going to cut off the precipitation signal here across the Pacific Northwest, move it down towards California for a few days. This was looking at California a little bit closer. We'll scroll through this pretty quick. Good snowfall amounts for the Sierra Nevada. This is going out through Tuesday night into Wednesday morning now. But look at this all the way down towards Baja California. Some nice precipitation amounts still showing up in the models. Look at the coastal range getting good amounts. Sierra Nevada piling it up there too, as well as Nevada getting some good precipitation amounts also. Much needed. This is total snow Kuchera, just kind of showing you the snowpack starting to build up here across BC, Washington, Oregon Cascades. And then you see it really build up down here across the Sierra Nevada of California. and even through Nevada as well. So a nice couple storm systems coming for California, very beneficial. Look at this 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook across some of the U.S. I know I've seen a lot of Twitter followers talking about this as this comes across the plains here coming up through November 11th through the 15th here through mid-November while we start to get our break here in the Pacific Northwest. And look at this, kind of showed up in our 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook. Below average here across Pacific Northwest, maybe a little bit average for portions of California. 8 to 14 day, you can see much of the country below average here, November 13th through 19th there. Pretty interesting signal there. And you can see our below average here across Pacific Northwest through mid-November. This is looking, I looked at this, I think it was yesterday or the day before. We looked at the La Nina is still squarely in charge here across the Central Pacific Ocean. This is temperature anomaly here. This would be the equator. Here's the Hawaiian Islands, Pacific Ocean here. Here's California over here. Here's Japan. But you can see this below average water just moving across the Central Pacific. It's borderline moderate La Nina right now. It's very close to the threshold of being a moderate La Nina. Now looking here, this is the Pacific North American Oscillation. This is positive stage here. So this is probably what we're headed to for a bit. Storms are going to be a little bit farther out over the Pacific Ocean. We may get a few weak systems moving across the region here, but this can change pretty quickly too. And this usually doesn't hang out for more than a week or two at a time. So we're probably going to move into a little bit more of an active phase as we go through mid and later November here across Pacific Northwest. And this is the negative phase again of that oscillation that we just talked about there with the ridging out here, kind of what we've been dealing with the last couple of weeks. So ridging out here and allowing these systems to move through the area. But again, yeah, so thunderstorm potential on the coastline. Watch out for those big waves out there. We might get some snowfall on the higher hills of the lower terrain, Kitsap Peninsula, north slopes of the Olympics, east slopes of Vancouver Island, up towards Bellingham and Vancouver, BC as well. You might see some snowflakes flying on some of the higher hills of the San Juans out there as well. Watch out if you're traveling through the passes, of course. Washington, Oregon, off through Idaho, Montana. It's going to be treacherous going there across some of the mountain passes coming up here. Pretty cold air moving into the region as we go on in through Monday as well. So anyway, hope you guys are liking these videos. Leave some comments below. Click like, subscribe, turn on your notifications. Tell your friends. You guys are making this channel grow quite nicely. We're up over 12,500 subscribers now. I'm working on getting a Spotify store going so I can do better merchandise and try to sell it for a little bit cheaper and whatnot. I don't want to try to make a profit on anything I sell, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch or anything like that. But yeah, I'd just like to get everyone more involved, and hopefully you guys are having a good day, and we will do this again tomorrow. We'll check out what's going on with that high resolution models and see what kind of snowfall we might be looking at in some of the lower elevations here coming up. So I'll talk to you guys then.